Creating and modifying tools is a fundamental part of the Mastercam experience. In this lesson, we'll investigate two different methods for creating and editing tools. In Mastercam, I'll start by opening up the Tool Manager. In the bottom section, we have our current Mastercam library. We can choose to display only tools, only assemblies, or both. We can also turn on a filter, which will display tools that meet a certain criteria. For example, we can click on the filter button and choose to filter by a specific tool type, a diameter or radius, and tool material, just to name a few. We'll filter by flat end mills only and click OK. You will see that the tool library only displays all the flat end mills in that library. In the top section lists all of the tools that are in our current Mastercam file, specifically in Machine Group 1. If there were any tools up here, you could right-click on them and delete any unused tools. Notice the other right-click options as well. We'll explore these options in a little bit. If I was to right-click on one of the tools that exists in the library down below and choose Edit, I would in fact be editing the default tool. I would recommend instead taking that tool and copying it into your current machine group that exists. At that point, you can then edit that tool as you see fit. What you're really doing is editing a copy of the tool that's in your current Mastercam file and not impacting the tool that's in your library. Of course, if you wanted to make changes to a file so you can use it for future Mastercam sessions, then you would want to do that down here in your tool library. For now, let's take tool number 219 from our library and copy it into our machine group. As you can see, tool number 219 is now listed in our machine group 1. I'll right-click on the tool and choose Edit Tool. As you can see, I can use the middle mouse button to rotate the graphical representation of the tool, and I can also change some of the overall dimensions of the tool. I'll click Next, and in the Finalize Miscellaneous Properties section, you can see that I can change the tool number, the feed per tooth, and the speeds and feeds of the tool. Here, I will change the tool number to tool 10 and the spindle speed to 8,000. Notice that some of the other parameters update automatically. Once I'm done, I'll select Finish, and you'll notice that the tool in my machine group now lists the flat end mill as tool number 10. In many cases, you may configure multiple tools in your current machine group up here, and then realize that you want to save those tools down to your own custom library. You can do that by simply creating a new library down here and then dragging the tools into it. Let's do that now. We'll start by creating a new library, and we'll call it MCU2D Mill. It should make sense that this tool library has no tools in it since we just created it. To add tools to the library, I simply select them from above and either drag them down or hit the down arrow button. Now you'll see that the tool exists in the new tool library we just created. Once I click OK, it will ask me if I want to save my changes to the current library, and I'll click Yes. Another way to create and edit tools is to use the Standalone Mastercam Tool Manager. I'll open it up using the Start menu, and then I'll open up the mil_mm tool database file. I'll open up another tool database file, in this case the one we just created, called MCU2D Mill. I'll arrange them side by side so the original library is on the left and my new library is on the right. If we look on the right tool manager and double-click the Cutting Tools category, we'll see one tool in there. That's the tool we just created. To add more tools to this library, we'll simply drag and drop tools, holders, and assemblies from the other library. To start, I'll search for a specific tool in the original library, and I'll choose to search for all tools that have a matching diameter of 14 millimeters. Multiple tools are found, and I'll grab tool number 220, which is a flat end mill. I simply drag it to the Cutting Tools category on the right, and it gets added to my new tool library. Notice the tool number is automatically set to 11 as it increments the tool number by 1. I'm going to close the search field and now I'll go into the holder section. I'll select the C4C4-0025 holder and drag that over to the holder category in the new tool library. At this point, I'll maximize our new tool library so we can focus on creating an assembly. I'll double-click on the Tool Assemblies category to open up the Assemblies tab. I want to create 2 new assemblies, so I will click on the New Component Assembly button twice to add the 2 new assemblies. I'll select the first one, and then I'll give it an assembly name called 12mm end mill. I'll hit Enter, then select the second assembly and give that assembly name 14mm end mill. I want to build the 12mm end mill assembly first, so I'm going to select that here, and you'll notice that it's now visible in the Assembly Tree window underneath the Database Explorer window. I'll navigate to the Holders tab and drag this holder down. Then I'll navigate to the Tools tab and drag this 12mm end mill down. I'll do the same thing for the second assembly. I'll select the same holder, and then I'll select the 14mm tool instead. Now there are 2 tool assemblies inside this database. I'll need to edit the projection of the 12mm assembly, so I'll hover over the holder, hold down the Control key, and then select the holder. Now I can drag that holder up and down to change the projection amount. You can also manually enter in the value, so I'll set it to 75mm. I'll do the same for the 14mm assembly as well. At this point, I'll close both tool managers and I'll go back into the integrated tool manager. Notice that as long as I have the display mode set to both, I will see the tools and the 2 new assemblies I just created. I'll grab both of those assemblies and bring them up into my current machine group. Lastly, if I want to edit the tool projection more graphically, I can do so using my current Mastercam file. I'll right-click on one of the assemblies and select Edit Projection. Notice how my tool is positioned upside down. This is because of the current tool plane that's set up in this part. For this example, we'll switch the planes to one of the dynamic planes we created earlier. Notice how I can snap the tool to an area on my part, and then I can edit the projection of that tool to ensure that the tool holder will not strike the part. I press Enter when finished, and my new projection value is updated with this tool. As you can see, both the integrated tool manager and the standalone tool manager have very capable functions that help you create and manage your tool libraries. Your ability to program with better efficiency and greater accuracy is a direct result of understanding how to use these tool managers.